Hey everyone, happy Monday. Welcome to ModGolf Live. I am Colin Weston, your host, and happy to see everyone after an exhausting weekend of golf with the US Open. I usually don't watch live golf or professional golf, even though I'm in the golf industry. People find that kind of weird, but I'd rather be playing golf or talking about golf or growing the game. So I have to say, I was riveted to my screen on Father's Day yesterday, and got to say, a bit of a heartbreaker for Rory McIlroy there. Although I have come around and started to become a bit of a Bryson fan there. Everything he's doing on social media, his YouTube channel there, he's actually a pretty likable guy, and definitely relating it to the people. And I don't feel that it's manufactured. I feel that's authentic. And yeah. When I saw, he was there until midnight signing autographs for people. So yeah, sounds like Bryson 2.0 is a better version than the previous one. So yeah, that was exciting stuff. So yeah, today on the show, it's going to be fun because, well, with everything I do in golf, not just innovation, entrepreneurship, but how do we make the game more welcoming? How do we make it more inviting? How do we make it more fun? Oh, that fun word. Well, our guest today is definitely someone that embraces that F word, fun, and we're going to be working or talking to him, and that's Scott Taube. And Scott actually is the founder of Bad Cards for Good Golfers. Going to have him on in a second here, but I want to announce, and I'm going to have Scott on here to actually do it, and we're going to have our next ModGolf giveaway contest. And if you were with us last week, you'll know that on Patreon with our community there with ModGolf, that our monthly subscribers. And thank you everyone that is one, and we've got 7 of them so far. We've got almost 100 people that are on the Patreon that we have, and most of them on the free option right now. And hey, that's fantastic. But hey, if you want to win some free prizes, get even more exclusive content, and just a deeper level of engagement with everything that we're doing here, please join us there with the ModGolf Patreon. So today with our ModGolf giveaway contest, Scott has been so generous to offer a couple of sets of cards, of their Bad Cards for Good Golfers. And before we have that draw here of our 7 Patreon members here, I'm going to bring Scott onto the stage, and there he is. Scott, good to see you. How you doing, man?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, 100%. So hey, why don't before we do the giveaway here, why don't we start by you telling us about well, why don't you give us the elevator picture? We'll get into the origin story and the why and how it all came about, because that's a great story. We'll dig deeper into that in a few minutes here, Scott. But before we do the draw here for the giveaway, why don't you let people know what you're doing with Bad Cards for Good Golfers?
Yeah. So if you're unfamiliar with us, Bad Cards for Good Golfers, we make fun on-course card games to mix up your next round of golf. So whether you're into just having some laughs, getting some content for social media, making some memories, whether you like gambling or drinking or whatever, we have a game to fit your style. So this is our main game. So it's 107 unique ideas. And the idea is you draw a card before taking the tee box. It's going to have a special rule on you for that hole. It's either going to make the hole easier, it's going to make it harder, or it's just going to make you laugh. So great way to mix up rounds. It's great for golfers at all skill levels, whether you're a scratch golfer looking to kind of add some challenge to improve some weird shots, or you're a 30+ handicap golfer, and it just sort of levels the playing field. So it takes focus off a score and puts the emphasis on, as you would say, that F word, fun.
Nice. So hey, what are we giving away here for one of our Patreon community members?
All right, so I'm going to do 3 winners for you here. So we're going to have 3 winners, and you're going to win one of our games. So this is our gambling game. So we like to say this doesn't affect your score, just your wallet. It's just a bunch of weird prop bets throughout. So you draw a card before taking the tee box. It affects the whole team. It'll either have you paying other players or paying into the jackpot for the round winner. So great way to break up the old skins, wolf, bingo, bango, bongo. Just add another one. And unlike those games, it's not confusing because it just tells you on the card what you have to do at the end. And then of course our main game. So we'll give you the option between these two. You can order whatever you like off of our website. So we'll let you pick 3 winners for that. We'll hook up 3 people today.
Holy smokes. Okay, we're going to do 3. So we're going back here to our Patreon members here. Let me just get that off there for a second. Okay, so I already drew one, and that is a guest in our first Mod Golf Live a couple weeks ago, and that is Lydia Davies out of Houston, Texas. So Lydia is one of our winners here. We've got Lydia that's going to do that. And the second winner we're also going to have is Kevin Carpenter, who is out of Sarasota, Florida, who we have on I just recorded a podcast episode with him. I think, Scott, I've got to connect you to Kevin. Kevin is such a great guy. Goes by the moniker the Gratitude, and he's doing some amazing things in the golf space. Cool. So there's 2. I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to freestyle it a little bit here, and we're going to the third one we're going to do, because we are live and interactive here. I see we've got a couple of people already on joining us on the show and leaving some comments, and I see we've got Igor, who's out of Dallas, Texas, congratulating. Look at that. See, it's all about gratitude there. Yeah. He's congratulating Lydia there. Igor, good to see you. Igor, I know we were going to connect last week, but you came down with that COVID thing again. I hope you're feeling a little bit better, sir, and back on your feet there. We'll have a conversation soon. So here's what I'm thinking, Scott. Why don't we do this? I'm going to post a comment here in real time here. So if anybody wants to win, all you need to do, if anybody leaves a comment here that we'll see in real time here, that just say, I want to win those bad cards, and we'll put you in the draw for the end of the show here. So, hey, that's how you're going to win here. Once again, live and interactive. And the other piece I also want, as Scott and I are having a conversation here, if you have any questions for Scott or for me, or just have any general comments about golf, entrepreneurship, innovation, life, maybe we'll get deep. Maybe we'll get super existential here this morning. What does it all mean? Who knows?
Let's do it.
Ask Rory what it means to miss a 2-foot putt there and have to slink away. I'm sure he's having an existential crisis right now. But yeah, ask us anything. So before we get into that, and I'll type in some comments while Scott answers this question. And I want to hear, Scott, I love this from entrepreneurs and founders, the origin story, that aha moment, that why, because having an idea is one thing, but for you to go through and create product and actually deliver this and everything you've done here with Bad Cards for Good Golfers. So I want to hear the backstory. How did this whole thing come about? So let us hear the story, man.
Here's the why. And I think that's something that everyone can relate to, but it was an idea I had for a few years. And the ultimate thing that tipped me into going after it was I just did not want to be the guy at a party talking about an idea I've had for 20 years, especially after somebody eventually does it and like, oh, I had that idea, because we all know that person. A lot of us have been that person. I just didn't want to be that person. And I realized that at a party telling people about an idea I had. And then I'm just like, let's just do it so you can be done, and then it's either a success story or it's, a failure in the sense that you've tried it and it didn't work and people didn't like it. Like, whatever, let's just do it so you can stop talking about it. And that was sort of the linchpin for me. But the concept of Bad Cards, of drawing weird rules to sort of level the playing field, take the emphasis off of scoring and just make sure that you have fun. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but if you're not if you're not shooting at least in the low 90s, like golf, that's a long day. Swinging the club 120 times over 4 hours in the heat, that'll take you out of you. So just to make sure it's fun. So anyways, it happened with me being, a golfer that could not break 100, likely couldn't break 110, and going out and golfing with my buddies because I enjoy going out and swinging club. And so what we did is we just started making up weird rules out there to make it like competitive instead of just giving strokes. We're just like, okay, well, how about you hit 2 shots from every position, or like, you do this and then on the green, you get to do that. So we just started manufacturing just weird little rules throughout a round. And then afterwards we just kept talking about, oh, we should have done this. Oh, we should have done this. And then we're like, oh, it should be a card game. And then something like 4 years later, I had that moment at a party where it's like, I just don't want to be the guy that just keeps talking about the idea and doesn't do the idea. So we, I sat down with a Google Doc. I started typing out ideas and the sort of basic guidelines and the format and the card categories and how the gameplay would work. And figured, over the next couple of months, I would work on knocking out ideas as they came to me. And just over the weekend, I had on the docket like 75 ideas in like a day. I was just like, couldn't turn it off. My brain was just hyper focused on it. And so had pretty much the whole game written within a week. And then of course, after we did that, we just have docs and lists going of expansion packs and new rules and fun ideas and stuff. They're like, oh, you know what we should do? You know what we should do? So, me and a friend of mine that I know from back in a former life of being a touring musician, we partnered together on the launch, just bootstrapped it, designed everything ourselves. We hired a friend to design the logo. I did all of the graphic design work and everything. Learned a lot. I had never done a project like that before. I had very minimal knowledge of Photoshop, but just kind of figured it out as it went, working with the printers and finding manufacturers, all this stuff I'd never done before. And then we printed 750 of these guys. That's the smallest amount we could do. Had them shipped over because they were all produced in China. And we had we just posted our explainer video in 4 parts on TikTok, and this was in 2021, and it just took off. A couple 100,000 views, which for TikTok isn't that monumental, but our store just started bing, 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 and we just sold through everything. And then we were on back order as we put all that money into another, I think we could do 2,400 that we had rushed over. And those pretty much all sold out on back order. And then we took that money and then we were just kept building up and up. And yeah, I mean, we weren't sure if people would think it was a fun idea. I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it, but I'm like, let's see what the community thinks. And it was, it's just been really heavily accepted. And it's really cool seeing people playing this and tagging us in their videos and, writing reviews and just being like, oh man, like we had a message this week from some kids in the Midwest somewhere that they have a league. They started a bag cards league. So
really,
they play throughout the summer and they play this bag cards tournament. There's like 12 of them. And depending on how you place, you're in points throughout the season. They have the winner at the end of the season and stuff. So like, I don't know, that to me is just like seeing it fully embraced and people really enjoying like the fun side of golf. And again, I mean, if you're going to go, it's expensive, it's time consuming. If you're not going to have a good time, you should not be playing it. So just to help kind of take some of that pressure off and just make sure people have a good time. It's been really rewarding. So
nice. So yeah, the fact you've got all this user generated content now that you're creating this community around it, it sounds like you've helped to kind of facilitate that, like you said, with starting out on TikTok there and kind of pushing that out. But it sounds like it's taken on kind of a life force of its own there of people always talk about, well, how do you make things go viral? And sometimes it's just pure luck or timing, but also you create something that is shareable, that people can create their own memories and fun around. And also that gamification element that you've got with the league, that it's not like you were the ones that started that. The fact that was a grassroots that someone else took the initiative to, that's gold. That's absolutely awesome. It's so good.
Yeah. And that was definitely, I mean, the user generated content and the sort of like fandom surrounding it was very intentional from day one. I would say of all the things that we didn't know, which was a lot at the beginning, we just learned pretty much everything. The only component that we knew that we had covered was the marketing side. So I have a marketing background. That was the part I was most excited about. Like, how do we market this, make it, sort of blunt and irreverent and just honest, I guess, honest and very transparent, not trying to be anything it's not. And yet just, again, when we were creating these cards, we're imagining moments where like, oh, before you do that, I have to get my phone out. And yeah, I mean, that obviously lends itself into organic marketing, but it's really easy to market the product because we don't really have to sell it. We just show somebody playing it or us playing it. And that's it. And if that looks fun to you, you're going to go find the product. And so that's been a really fun component of the whole thing, is marketing it. And, it's our own thing. So we can do whatever we want and throw whatever rules out. We only have to answer to ourselves. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm curious about this as an entrepreneur myself, and when you're creating product and then, you have the idea and then you actually have it, that whole pricing piece there, you may look to some competitors or other kind of validators or apples to apples the best that you can to kind of come up with something, but it always seems like there's a bit of trial and error and kind of guesswork there and kind of tinkering around with that. I know that Igor, who was on the ModGolf podcast a couple of weeks ago, and what he's doing with the Golf Track app, I asked him this question, so I'll ask you also. How did you and the team, with your background in marketing, how did you come up with the pricing? Has it changed over time, or is that whole value piece? How did you arrive at the price point there where you are at today?
Yeah, when we sort of entered the market, it really wasn't anything. There's like the Vegas chips thing that was out, and about the time that we released, there was another. So now there's probably 5 or 6 sort of similar things, right? So we don't really have a whole lot to base off of. We just kind of went out of. I mean, we just did the math. We're just like, this is what it costs us to get them in. And I don't know, something that we learned is it doesn't matter what it costs you to like land the product and price wise. Like selling a product it's expensive. Like there's like, you just think like, it's like, oh, let me send this to you and you pay for it. Like simple enough. But like, and then you learn about, warehousing and, fulfillment centers and, coordinating things to get them on Amazon. And like, just there's so many pieces of this pie that keeps getting eaten and eaten in marketing and make sure people know about it. So for us, we just sort of, we settled on $29.99. We base that off of primarily about how many cards are in the game. I think something that is important to know is like, there's a lot, like with games, card games or anything, there's sort of a replayability factor.
Right.
Like even with board games and stuff, it's like, cool, I could play this all the time because it's always different. Ones that's just like, all right, like I'll play it a few times and we're over it. And the cool thing about this is like 107 cards, even if you play a format where you have everybody drawing one card on every hole, one, you're not going to get through the whole deck. Two, these cards are totally different depending on when and where you draw them. I mean, if you draw, we have a card in here called the Easy 3 where you tee off from the 100-yard mark. That's your tee shot. So on a par 3, like, yeah, that might get you a little bit of an advantage. You have a higher lofted wedge in, but on a par 5, it's a game changer. Same with some of the bad cards. There's a personal scramble, worst ball scramble, where you have to hit 2 from every position. Like I've played that with guys on, a problematic par 5 with water, and it's just like, all right, you got to clear that water head and you have to do it again. You have to take the worst of the 2. So it plays different on different parts of the course. So I think that for us was a big part of the value. And then, I mean, ultimately it just comes down to what people are willing. Something's only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it at the end. We kind of monitored that moving and didn't have a whole lot of complaints on the price point. And it kept us to the point where we could do a high quality product, and then we could, still afford to market it and things like that. So that piece sort of kind of fell in place with us. And and we've got this guy. And then obviously we released expansion packs and stuff for like drinking rules and stuff like that. And those are like smaller, those are $12.99. The idea is you can just mix them into here. So you don't like some cards in here, you throw them out, mix in some new ones, and you can sort of create your own deck. So when you're on the course, like we're playing my deck because I have the new expansion pack and it's going to have some new fun rules that you haven't seen.
Gotcha. So I'm curious about your kind of the persona of kind of the average, let's say I want to say typical or average, or what you see as the quintessential, here we'll use that word this morning here on a Monday here, the quintessential bad cards for good golfers user. Are you finding it's the kind of the higher handicap that wants to have fun? I believe, I forget the stat, I know that less than half of recreational golfers ever break 90. I think it's even less than that. So are you appealing to that? And I'm also curious about conversion. Do you have friends or know people that are really good golfers that are like, no, I'm traditional. I don't want to play that. I'm playing my round. I want to card a score for my handicap and all this. Have you managed to convert anybody, at least every once in a while, good golfers? And at the end, it's like, that was kind of fun.
Yeah, it's funny because that was the question we didn't know going into it. We don't know. Obviously, I would think the me's, right? The higher handicap golfers who are just like, all right, let's make this fun. I don't care about my score, right? I thought, that's our target demo. What we found was like, it's kind of everybody. There's this little subsection of people who are really working on their handicaps, need to track their scores, stuff like that. And it's sort of like, oh, I won't play this on the course. I like it. I think it's a cool idea. I won't play it because I'm tracking my handicap. But those people, when they go out and they play in a scramble because they have buddies in town and you're a great, say like you're shooting, in the 70s, 80s, and you're playing with people who can't break 100. You bust this thing out, and you have fun, and then you sacrifice that round to just being like, one, it's going to be a disaster anyways because of who you're playing with, and so it's like, all right, let me do this stuff and do some like challenges. We found that the really good golfers, like those people who are scratch, former pros, they really like it because for them, they play good golf all the time.
Right.
So like to go do something totally different and really like push their, just imagine, like tell people, like, imagine that you're a marathon runner, and then it's just like, oh cool, well, like, come with your buddies, we're doing a 5K this weekend. How boring would that be for you?
Right.
Also, your buddies, you're going to be finished and drinking a beer, like, and you're going to be waiting for them. So instead of that, it's like, what if they invited you to a Tough Mudder? You're like, well, I know I can run a marathon. Like, how do I do when I'm crawling through the mud? If I'm crawling over this, like, obviously my skills are going to translate somewhat, but I want to see how it works in here. So I think that the people who are really good sort of treat it as more of a skills challenge development thing. And then again, with for that little subsection, and I will say that I probably ironically fall in this. As I started this company, and I'm trying to really improve and take some lessons, get my handicap down, just because with this brand, I find myself on the course with people all the time who are really
Right.
good. And the goal is not to compete, just not to embarrass myself. So I really do focus on getting better when I'm playing most of the time, especially if it's on my own or just with a couple friends here. But so when we created our bad cards for gambling golfers, we were very intentional to make this to where it didn't affect your round, just your wallet.
Right.
So with this, you're drawing before you take the tee box, and it's a weird prop bet. And sometimes it has nothing to do with the round. My favorite one in there is called Swear Jar, and it's literally like from the time you tee off to when you putt out, for every cuss word you say, you have to pay into the jackpot. Like, it's just it's just one thing to sort of like, it's sort of this little side bet thing that goes, but you get to play your full game, you get to track your full score. So we've tried to convert that little subsection with a game that doesn't affect their score at all, or what clubs they're
Right.
picking, or anything like that. So try to make it appeal to everyone. But yeah, I mean, the vast majority, good and bad and in the middle, like, have opportunities to play it, enjoy it, even if they don't use it every single time. And then we have guys who use it every single time.
Nice. Nice. So some people out there may be thinking, oh, well, it still sounds really complicated. You said there's over 100 cards. Where do we start? So walk us through the journey. I've never played before. You and I are meeting up, and we got a couple of friends that haven't used it before. We show up at the first tee. You bust out the deck. What happens at the very beginning? Let's walk through the first hole of using bad cards for good golfers.
For sure. So we do have sort of a mercy rule, right? So we built this into the game because some of the cards aren't going to affect you that much. Some are going to be really challenging. Some are going to make it really easier. It's a whole spread, right? So the first thing we do is you deal everybody this. It's called a hard pass card, and this just lets you opt out at any point throughout the round of a rule that you have to play, or a card that's played against you. Whatever, you can just opt out with this hard pass card. So we give you a little mercy rule. Outside of that, you just start playing. Everybody draws a card on the first tee box. There are variations where you can draw less cards, maybe one per hole, whoever's in the lead, things like that. But let's just say for a full-on round, everybody draws a card at the first tee box. They're going to be one of 5 card categories. So we've got sucks for you. Like, these cards are bad for you. So this one is Three's Company. Choose only 3 clubs to use on this hole. Clubs must be selected before you tee off. So the red sucks for you cards, those are going to make your round harder. Then we have attack cards. These are bad cards you get to play against other players. So if I drew this, I get to pick someone to play it against. This one says you put your left foot in, so choose a player that must play this hole wearing only one shoe. One thing we discovered with this when people were posting is you can take your sock off, people. You don't have to play the rest of the round with a wet sock. Take your shoe and your sock off. And then, of course, we have some good cards in there, right? So, hell yeah cards. These are good. They're going to help you out. So, personal scramble, best ball. Hit 2 balls at each shot, taking the best one. That includes putting. So that one's really going to help you out. And then we have our party cards. So these cards are good or bad. Everything on my screen is backwards, by the way. So every time I go to move stuff to the center of the screen, I'm having to readjust. It's like playing a video game with a controller.
It's coming up. It's coming up right. Yep, we can see it. It's all good.
So party cards are good or bad, but they affect the whole group. in addition to whatever your card says. So if you have personal scramble, you got to play it along with this as well. So this one's randomly drawn, toss up. After the tee shot, everyone must throw the ball until they land on the green. From there, you may use your putter. And then our final card category, similar to the one that I showed you at the beginning, is called Hold On. So these are helpful cards that you get to hold throughout the round and play them when they benefit you. Everything else just expires on the hole that you're on. These you get to hang on to. So they have a little purple. So this one, for example, is a hand wedge. Redeem this card to throw your ball out of a sand trap instead of using a club. I would definitely play that. And then some of them are even a little better. Like this one's a super gimme. So redeem this card for a gimme putt from anywhere on the green. And the other thing you'll notice is the hold on cards have sorry, I'm backwards again. This negative stroke value on the top. So if you decide not to play this throughout the round, or you don't have the opportunity, or maybe drew out on the 18th hole, at the end of the round, any of these that are in your pocket, you get to subtract that little number off of your score. So if I had these in my pocket at the end of the round, I get to subtract 3 strokes from my score. So it's a little strategy in like, okay, is this throwing out a sand wedge going to save me more than 1 stroke? For me, self-awareness, yes, it would. I'll go ahead and toss it out. For someone else who's really good out of the sand, they're like, I'm going to keep this in my pocket. I'm going to take the stroke off at the end. So yeah, and then like every other game in golf and every format and every gambling, you just do whatever you want. If you see a card you don't like, if it doesn't work, you just throw it out, draw again. And we have variations. Some of our cards have a little, this one's really small, but in the bottom, it might have a D or an R. Those are 2 key variations that I really like. So one is called dethrone. So you populate the deck only with the cards that have the D in the bottom. And then whoever is the round leader is the only person who draws a card, and it only affects them. And it's always a negative card. So the idea is whoever's running away with the score, you keep pulling them back down to the group. The inverse of that is redemption. So all the cards with a little R in the bottom corner, you populate the deck with just those cards, and you play around where whoever's in last place at each hole, they get to draw a card, and it's always good and pulls them up to the pack. We actually did a really fun variation where we had the D's and the R's, and the leader drew a bad card, and the last place person drew a good card, and the middle person drew nothing. And we did 18 holes of that with a 15 handicap, a 7 handicap, and a 4 handicap. And just by doing that format, no strokes given or anything, it came down to the last putt after 18 holes. Like, it was a really fun way to just level the playing field. We all ended up drawing good cards. We all ended up drawing bad cards. We all ended up in the middle, regardless of handicap. It just equalized us and kept us in the whole round. It was really, really fun. So we've had people write in with their own formats that they play, and yeah, be as creative as you want. These are just guidelines, and there's a lot of fun, weird rules in here. And there's also DIY cards in here. There's 2 with every deck. I think I actually mailed these to somebody who wanted more. Oh, here we go. So there's blanks. And so you have 2 cards that you can create your own rule and put it in there. And we have a lot of people writing for more, hey, can you send us more DIY cards? Because we're having so much fun making our own rules. So you can make your own rule and add it into the deck.
Nice. So curious about this. So when you're out on course and you have other people watching, whether it's staff or marshals or even people in front of you, or I'm curious about the feedback. Have you had like the negative feedback of people are picking up balls and throwing them on the green when they win a card, or have that particular card, or they're looking at this like, you guys are having way too much fun. What are you doing? So I'm curious to hear about what type of feedback you've had on course, maybe some kind of grumpy, curmudgeon-y traditionalists, and also some people is like, this is really freaking cool. What's going on here?
Yeah, I think from the outside looking in, I mean, you've been on the course that's been backed up. You've been on a course that's been wide open, and you look at the people in front of you. It's easy to think like, oh, hurry up. So this game, we designed it very specifically. I know there's a lot of ideas in there, but we have a pretty rigorous checklist, sort of a code of conduct that every card has to pass. So one, first and foremost, like, it can't delay pace of play an unnecessary amount. Again, with just golfing in general, like, if you're not conscious of pace of play, regardless of what you're doing or what you're playing, like, you're going to lag behind. There, you can play this game and keep up with pace of play, no problem. We've done it where everybody's drawing cards. We've had zero issue. We've even had video guys on, and had no issue. Just being conscious and and moving forward. I will say that when we designed it, we did make sure that some of anything that requires a group action happens in the tee box when the group is already together, or on the green when the group is already together. So you're not leaving your ball to go in the fairway to somebody else's to do some special action, then back to yours. So again, things like that. Obviously, we make sure that there's not a high chance of it causing any injury. That's on there, and then we make sure that the cards we have don't have any chance of causing any damage to the course.
Right.
So nothing that would be disrespectful of the course, break any rules, or damage the greens or the fairway, anything like that. We're very conscious about that as well. That being said, I mean, yeah, it's a lot of fun for people to ask, like, what is happening here? I mean, there's some of the cards are very vocal, and you're having to yell certain things, and there's obviously gonna be a ton of laughs and things. But no, courses have been receptive. I mean, we sell it in a handful of pro shops. They'll reach out to us and like, hey, this is really cool. We want to sell this on our course. But yeah, pace of play, that is the main comment we get. And in all honesty, the videos that you see online are mostly the bad ones because they're more fun to film and watch.
Yeah,
like
right?
somebody teeing off from 100-yard mark visually isn't a great piece of content. So you're not really going to see that one, or getting to scramble their putts, it's not sexy on video. So it's usually the ones that are disastrous that we show off. But yeah, it's an even split. There's one more bad card than good card, just to honor the name, but half good, half bad. Half of them speed up your pace of play. So overall, your pace remains unaffected. And over years of people buying it, playing it, they'll come to our defense in the comments, but like, I play this all the time. We've literally never had a problem.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, as we finish up here, one thing I want to do, I'm just going to add, there you go. I'll put it right on here and I'll go through. So there's your website. I got the URL also in the comments. I did include the link to the website there for bad cards for good golfers. So if you want to check out all the good things that Scott and his team are doing, and once again, anytime I can have a conversation with someone that's making golf more fun, I am for it. And you are certainly doing that here, Scott. So yeah. Amazing stuff. So, hey, as we finish up, I'll just scroll through the website here. You can see all the good things he's got going on here. I won't click through all these, but yeah, you can see all the different cards they have there. The drinking rules, if you're into that type of thing. Gambling, if you're into that, just to have some fun with your friends. So much going on here. Love it. Absolutely love it. All right. So, hey, one last thing before we leave here, Scott. I'm going to go back to our list here. So hey, we've already given away a couple of sets here, and that's to Lydia and also to Kevin. And you know what? Everybody's being shy today. We got a few people that are joining us here live, but the only one that's made a comment here is Igor. So you know what, Igor, we're going to also send you or give you the opportunity to connect with Scott here and get a couple of one or two sets of bad cards for good golfers also. So that's going to happen. So we got our 3 winners there. So again, hey, if you want to win free stuff here with everything that we're doing, I strongly encourage you to, I'll put it on the bottom again there. I know the URL is a bit of a mouthful there, but yeah, connect with me. Hey, become a member of our ModGolf podcast, Patreon community here. It definitely helps us out. Hey, I'd like to say for the price every month for a grande latte, you know what? It means that we're able to produce even more awesome content, have people like Scott and others, innovators and entrepreneurs, people at a grassroots level that are making the game more welcoming, more inviting, more fun, more accessible, and growing it as we like to do. We like to support that. We love to celebrate that. And hey, it helps me cover some of the production costs here, the things we're doing here. So hey, if you want to share the love and become part of the community, yeah, join us on the ModGolf Patreon, because you know, we're just getting started here with a live show. We're starting to get consistent. This is the 4th week in a row that we've done it here. And Scott, hey, I want to thank you again for joining me again on ModGolf Live. So great seeing you. I hope that the shipment that you were so generous to send to me, that are my friends at Canadian Border Security and Customs, eventually clears that. I
Hopefully
think
they're
he
not
tried to
golfers.
send me cards and some gear and some swag there. Hopefully that's what it was. That's not causing any
Yeah.
problems there. But hopefully I get that soon. But before we leave, why don't you tell us, because you got the hat going here. You also got some merch that you're selling to rep the brand too, don't you? So what do you have besides the cards?
Yeah, we have hats, divot tools, there's some really cool ball markers, stuff like that. All the golf accessories, just bundle when you're on there, and all that stuff's on our website, and we're constantly adding new fun things. Like if we think our logo looks cool on it, we'll throw it up there. So yeah, definitely check that stuff out, all on our website as well.
Love it. Hey Scott, well, where are you based? You're in California, right? Where are you exactly?
I'm in Santa Rosa Beach in Florida Panhandle. So
Oh,
down on
you
the
are. Sorry. What?
I'm
I don't know
on the
why I thought
west
you were
coast
West
of the
Coast.
East
There you
Coast.
go. Okay. Well, perhaps next time when I'm at the PGA show in Orlando
Yeah.
every January, I do spend a couple of days afterwards. So perhaps we'll have to connect in person and bust out
Good.
a deck of cards and have some fun.
I love it. We'll get out on the
Sounds
course.
great. Hey Scott, thanks again for joining us today on Mod Golf Live. This has been awesome, and thank you for making golf more fun. All right, you take
For
care.
sure.
Have a great week.
Bye.
All right, bye now.